When I was in the Navy, I got to go to shore in Thailand. After a while, one night I went to the bar my friends had dipped into, and when I sat down, I said I was getting drunk. At this point, I was the square that never drank and did everything by the book. They said, "No, you won't." And I said, "Want to bet?" 16 shot of Jack later, I feel my stomach not doing well and realize I hadn't eaten that day. I take my folding scouter down to Burger King and get 6 chicken sandwiches. I do the Marty McFly thing and grab onto the back of a truck to get back to the bar quicker. The next thing I know, I'm in the bar, and there are chicken sandwich wrappers sitting there. I proceed to drink and eventually go upstairs with a lady, yet it was an actual female. I was so drunk, I couldn't unbutton my pants, so she had to do everything. I pull a small box of condoms out of my pocket and make sure she puts on, but I can't see them. I also make her put on every time she tries to take one off with her twat. When I went downstairs, my friend said, "What's up?" And I said, "Hi," then passed out. They carried me to the sobering station on the pier, and I was told the female I went upstairs with was following, crying because she thought I was dead. I wake up, and everything is a blur. All of a sudden, someone off to the right says, "Drink this," and I see a water bottle. After a few, I have to piss, and I have no clue where I am. The same voice off to the right says there is a porta potty that way, and I can see his arm and the can. I get done and start walking back, but I can't get any further. 2 of my shipmates come up, and I had been kicking a 1-foot concrete step the entire time, but couldn't feel it. Party at a buddy's in the middle of nowhere. Instructions were to be early and call dibs on one of the 2 couches or bring a tent. So I get there, set up my tent, and commence drinking. Beer pong and flip cup start. I black out. I woke up on the couch at like 3 a.m., passed out pretty early. Ran outside to my tent and found some dude passed out in there. Rip all his stuff out of the tent and tell him to fuck off. At this point, everyone who was still up runs over, killing themselves laughing. Apparently, I passed out on the couch as this guy was about to pass out. He had called dibs on the couch earlier. He grabbed all my stuff from the tent and tucked me in. Then he grabbed all his stuff and went to crash in my tent. Pure gentleman. The whole time I'm freaking out on him and trying to get into my tent, the dude was just laughing, knowing I didn't remember any of that happening. I was on vacation several years ago and decided that a 5th of Jack Daniels was going to be my friend for the evening. Oh, how I miss my old friend Jack. I woke up the next day and scratched my rightfully aching head. I discovered that doing this caused there to be blood under my fingernails. I got out of bed and, looking in the mirror, discovered that my face, head, and pillow were all covered in dried blood. I yelled, "What the fuck happened last night?" And none of my friends knew. Apparently, I had drank an undetermined amount of the whiskey right from the bottle, as was my style. I started getting weepy and blubbering nonsensically, or so they tell me. Nobody has any idea what I was going on about. Eventually, a male friend of mine carried me off to my bed, during which I apparently told him I was not interested in having sex with him, which was not something he was even pursuing. My friends continued to hang out and party for a while, since we were on vacation. They tell me, the next day, that they had heard a loud crash around the back of the beach house, and that it sounded like a pile of wood being tossed down wooden stairs. Those assholes didn't bother to try to figure out what the noise was. Anyway, the noise was apparently me taking a tumble down not 1, but the 2 flights of stairs of the beach house. Somehow, I dragged myself back to bed because that's where I woke up, and no one put me there or even knew about my tumble. The blood was because I busted open my eyebrow somewhere along my adventure, stab in the dark, but probably when I fell down the stairs. This event is one of the most shameful, disturbing, and sad events of my drinking career. To think about all the ways I could have, and probably should have died that night, makes me feel weird. Could have broken my neck back falling, could have gotten a concussion and went into a deep drunk sleep, could have knocked myself unconscious on my back and gotten sick, etc. Yeah, the only part of that story that I find amusing now is that when I woke up, I went to a nearby clinic to get my wound looked at, and they told me they couldn't take my insurance or whatever. So instead of leaving my vacation to go home and get stitches, I put a band-aid on it and stayed at the beach another day. Screw that.